Hello, my sexy little starlets. So today is a video which is slightly overdue, as well as some updates. Firstly, we are in the middle of some goddess energy. I'm enjoying this background immensely. And we're here today to talk about Songs of Shades Vol.4. And the way that apparently when I hold up to my nose, the background breaks. You're welcome. So a few little updates for everybody before we get into talking about Songs of Shades and some of the things you can expect to find within it and some of the reasons to look at it. There have been no interviews for the last couple of weeks. I have been having a little bit of a rest and as well as planning some more, getting in contact with some more people and in order to get some more recorded and up, and they will continue. I just needed a bit of a breather. It's so warm. Heavens have mercy. And so we're going to be getting back to that. If you want to request any people that you would love for me to reach out to, please do so down below, and we will look at reaching out to new people, having interesting conversations, and continuing that good vibe, as well as supporting all people on the platform and my commitment to not just having a sea of white faces on the YouTube channel. Talking of not just having a sea of white faces, the release of Songs of Shades Vol.4 also came just after, although I already had it in print, with the events that really blew up and brought Black Lives Matter back into focus. And as such, a percentage of each sale is going to a Black Lives Matter charity here in the UK. So if you do purchase one of the Songs of Shades Vol.4, then you are also donating to charity. So here it is. As always, it is the beautiful artwork from my dear friend Molly Roberts, and I always check with her that she's okay to do that, and she very kindly says yes. I'm always like, I can send you a free copy. I love her to bits. She's one of my favorite people in the whole world. And so, as always, with the Songs of Shades, they are separated into the songs of the warriors, the songs of the healers, the songs of the witches, the songs of the priestesses, the songs of the phantoms, and the songs of the shapeshifter. Phantoms, just in case you're wondering, is the energies. There are Babe energies within there, of course, from the goddess Morrigan, but it's also ancestors, spirits, things of that nature. Now, a lot of the work within is the channeled prophetic invocation energy of each goddess or god, or the energy for each kind of like healing spell. We're going to be reading some out loud. You can also find spells and rituals in all of the Songs of Shades, including this one, which has one of my favorites, and I'm going to touch on that in a bit. Because it is my favorite so far, just because it's so fun and so silly, and it does have a really interesting through line that you can have deep, meaningful, serious conversations about spiritual matters, as well as having a giggle. So if you want to know the goddesses who are present and correct within this particular volume, because that is something people always ask me, the Morrigan is present in all of them. Okay, the Morrigan will always be front and center stage as my patron, matron, mother, deity, whatever you want to call her. She is front and center. And of course, it starts with evocation of the Morrigan. We also have the Celtic goddess Domnu. We have Baba Yaga. Twice over. We have Ceridwen, invocation of goddess Brigid. And then we have some very interesting archetypal energies that I really want to draw attention to for Songs of Shades Vol.4. So in the pages, amidst the pages of the priestess, we have goddess of blood, goddess of bone, goddess of dirt, goddess of ash, goddess of crow, goddess of roots, and goddess of stones. The reason to do this is to bring in the abstract idea of deity. I'm going to have to move over here to stop it doing that. I have to be just under this boob right here, rather than in the center. You're welcome, world. So we're bringing in these archetypes, these raw ideas of goddess without name. And I really, really wanted to do this section in this volume. I wanted to bring forth the energies of these vibrations within the stones, within blood, within bones, and the way that goddess energy moved through these and didn't have to have a particular name, didn't have to have a particular folklore. They were just very primal and essential and of their essence within the pages. And that is a different kind of connecting to deity that I think takes people outside of the usual experience when it comes to looking at goddess energy in particular. And we're going to read a couple of them because we can, which is my favorites. They're all my favorites. I love them. I think we'll do root stone. Let's do blood as well. So goddess of blood, it stirs within you now, in the rivers under your skin, the way it courses a vibrant humming. There is no denying a song such as this. I speak in life force, ever howling, the beating drum that fuels your tongue. There is no denying your belonging in how you travel and where you're from. It stirs within you now, a line 1,000 strong. What I really like about some of the archetypes as well is it forces you to confront questions, because when we talk about blood, there is an undertone, unfortunately, of people who will use that as a racist argument. I do not, I never have, and I like to reject that. So there's things within here about what that actually means, what it means to look at it, what it means to honor it without the exclusion. And of course, all of these goddesses are connected in the circle. So, goddess of dirt. Did I say I was doing? Yes, goddess of dirt. It is right there under your fingernails from when you sank your claws back in and raked the fresh-tilled earth with your bare hands, for no more reason than to remind you of where you came from and the rich scented tones of the ever life-giving sustainer of us all. Plant your seeds, begin the growth of a better tomorrow. Hidden well and deep, the secret handshake of a millennia-old agreement that doesn't bear breaking. Guardians, I call to you. The time is now. I was going to do 3. We're going to do 4. Goddess of roots. Together, we are a mesh of intricate interlocking roots, tendrils that entwine throughout each other's incarnations, sharing delicate moments that flee forth from us in the space between heartbeats, nestled underneath the earth, stretching out to embrace the limits that we have, or at least we impose on our own existence. And then goddess of stones. Here I am in piles that you erected to remind you how we are sacred together. We can build or descend into chaos, in bitterness thrown to draw blood. Oh, how I have drank of the essence of humanity through my porous lungs, how I have carried your history on my back. So it's fun. It's fun. There is quite a lot of chants in this one. There's some that are meant to be chanted in ritual, which is really nice. But I'm going to tell you guys about my favorite ritual because it's in the shapeshifter one. And I just freaking love it. So this is the fungi versus funky ritual. There's actually a shapeshifting poem in here for fungi, for mushrooms. I just, it's like, I love them so much. And this ritual talks about how fungi are nature's miracle workers, and they get overlooked because they're not as pretty to some people. I think they're great. Do you know they can clear up oil spills, convert pesticides to more innocuous compounds, and remove heavy metals from contaminated water? So it talks about calling on the spirit of mushrooms in particular, and obviously there is an element here where you can eat the edible ones, because as Terry Pratchett puts it, all mushrooms are edible, some are only edible once. So don't go eating the ones that are only edible once. And so it really does call to the energy of how to work with the fungi in here, which I kind of love. We have some really I'm really sorry about the noise, guys. I really thought I was going to escape it. So from the shapeshifter, we have eel for the Morrigan, we have Selkie, we have the act of becoming, Mother Moon, which is a slightly outside of the usual. We have cat, owl, the black dog, fungi, thorns of black, and stag, lord of the forest. So it's connecting to the animal shapeshifter energies within, which is really some of my favorite things to do when I'm writing these. So let's have a look. What else do we want to do? Oh, another ritual that I really adore is actually in the healing section. So for this, I brought the Ritual of Healing Wells under Goddess Brigitte from the beginnings of the cycle that we had on Patreon, and then I created a ritual of pilgrimage and healing and honoring the sacred life energy that flows through the wells and sacred places of water from the Brigitte cycle. For it was about 4 months back now. And so there is a lot to do with healing in this one. And this one is very personal. Like some of them you can feel how personal they are to me. So I'm going to read Goddess, I Cried from Songs of the Healers. Goddess, I cried, he cheated, he lied, he broke every vow, demanded I bow, fat shamed and blamed, caused all this pain. My daughter, I know, and now you can grow, and all of his vile will always show. So pity those he chases with his many faces, and relish the chance to find real love. And actually within, is it the Phantom section? I believe this is the Phantom. Yeah, there are 2 rituals within the Phantom section, which are perhaps the most vulnerable of my personal rituals that I've ever shared with the public starlets out there. So within here there is the Death of the Woods Witch rebirthing ritual and the Ritual of the Red Thread. So the Ritual of the Red Thread is pulling on the symbolism of the red thread, which transcends culture and time and represents the connection to all of our line, our ancestors. And it talks about blood and spirit blood and the red thread and the matriarchal lines, such as I have found in red tent ceremonies, and how it's more than just blood. And if the symbolism is difficult because your immediate family are problematic, then I draw your attention to the relationship between breath and blood. And I really cried when I discovered all about this. There are 2 rituals in here which are very centered around the idea of breath and breath work, and this is one of them, as well as the red thread and how to connect to the spirits and how to remember the idea of memento vivere, which has been very important to me this year, and remembering that you too must live. And then the ritual for rebirthing the woods, which is something that I went through in a place where I felt like I was dying, and I technically did. I had a spiritual other death, a death of otherness, where you basically go into a cycle of death cycle, like we've talked about for years here on the channel, some of the oldest videos, and come out reborn. And it's literally putting to death your old self, and it's very intense. So there is a whole range of rituals and spells in here that you can perform. Some are intense, some are a little bit more silly and fun. But yeah, let's find a Bave one. Because we love Bave. Bave is the queen, you know, Phantom Queen. If I were to poke you, prod you here at the base of your skull, one crow talon extended, piercing, and in so doing climbed your head, and watched the shadow come pouring out, a blood-inked canvas on which is written all of your fears and hopes, would you then release them into my safekeeping as we unravel these threads and weave a new tale, lay waste to what once was, and revel in the carnage, broken pieces that become building blocks as we stitch you back together, war-torn creature, and forge you anew? Babe has such a way of speaking. She's just, I just love it. There's a lot of claws and blood in this one. Like, there's a lot of bleeding out, blood, as well as that. And then we have the warrior section. There is blood in the water right now. Prophecy of Morrigan. There is blood in the water right now, whistling your name. Mercy comes at the edge of a blade, cuts through your sheath to delight in violent ends. It's been building like the slow promise of new love, budding and bursting at the seams. Forget what you knew. Thought you knew. Your precipice is raging. Soon the smoke will rise and the burning earth will spit her wrath in cascading truth. Watch for my sign. I am coming with needle claws and feathers dashed in soot. I am coming. Yeah, the warrior ritual in here is really great too. Like, I keep going on about the rituals, but I do freaking adore them. And I had this massive moment with the warrior soul breathing technique. The soul breath technique is one that I have talked about for healing, but can also be used for the warrior. And soul breath is actually on the YouTube channel already if you want to go listen to more about that. And I loved it. And it's all about purpose and breath and living and fighting, and the balance of life force and death force within warrior soul energy. And I had a moment and I was like, oh my God, revelation, when I discovered it. Barbie Yaga's in here too. We had an absolutely amazing cycle with her on Patreon. I enjoyed it so much, as is Domnu, and her cycle was really wonderful too. So let's read the ending spell then here at the tail end of the video. So if you have any questions, pop them down below. You can find Songs of Shades exclusively on Starry Eyed Supplies. It is now available as a physical book and as a digital download. Obviously, if you go for the digital download option, you can get that straight away. You just PDF download, your zip done. Super easy. I know a lot of people overseas prefer this option, particularly in places like Australia. I've had quite a few Australians ask me about digital downloads. They're now available. So here at the end, let's have the ending spell. As it was, the raven saw. As it is, the raven speaks. As it shall be, a prophecy, along with a ritual of endings. So thank you guys for all of your support during difficult times. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for the people on Patreon. I might have to start, if they fancy it, like doing support, putting names up and being like, thank you for supporting me. I never know how I feel about that. Oh, honey, it's okay. It's okay, Mummy's here. Yeah, it's okay. She's been having bad dreams. It's okay. I loved you. And you basically support me and Daisy, which I can't thank you enough for. Thank you guys. Many blessings. Check out Songs of Shades right now. And don't forget, some of that will be donated to charity. So that's it. I'm off. I'm melting. I need to go give Daisy a snug. Many blessings.